I'm Corey Brennan, and this is POI. Do, 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 do. A is for Auntie, the oldest of them all. She rocks all us children to sleep in her shawl. By 1941, images like these permeated American culture. And of ethnic caricatures in America, these have been the most enduring. These were the images that decorated our homes, that amused us and made us laugh.
I just don't think that reparations for something that happened 150 years ago, for which none of us currently living are responsible, is a good idea.
I remember my friends Chase and Gator and me. We always used to play in the groves together. That one's Chase, and that one's Gator. He's been working in my daddy's grove since he wasn't much taller than my dad's knee. I remember we always used to play in the groves together. Until this one day, my daddy told me he didn't think it was a real good idea, us playing with the hired help. He said we were going to get Gator in trouble with his crew boss, Travis Waite. I think I was only 7 at the time, and Gator couldn't have been more than 10. The thing with white privilege is that a major topic that comes up when discussing white privilege is that it can bring up defensiveness in white people. They may shut down or stop talking or stop listening.
You may be wondering, Corey, what business do you have talking about race? You are white. And the answer to that question is what I found in my great-uncle's closet while cleaning out his home. A small red identification card with the letters KKK at the top and my great-grandfather's signature on the bottom. Though I did no harm firsthand, do I not have a responsibility to speak on the legacy that allows me to stand where I do today? Racism is a white problem, and it's high time we started taking some accountability. So using the novel, The Devil on My Heels by Joyce McDonald, the documentary Ethnic Notions by Marlon Briggs, the article How to Be a Good White Ally, and quotes by Senator McConnell, Ben Shapiro, and Candace Owens, this is white noise. Because white voices have filled the room for far too long, and we don't even realize what we're saying.
When I was in the 8th grade, my social studies teacher, Mr. Stone, spent one whole class period doing what he called dispelling the vile myths about the Klan. He said that people were wrong about the Ku Klux Klan scaring and hurting people. He said they did a lot of good for the community. B is for Betty, who bakes a good cake. In fact, the most best one that I ever ate.
For some, the idea that a person could have special privileges because of the color of their skin is an unsettling realization. It can elicit feelings of shame, guilt, and confusion. If you are a white person and you feel like the concept of white privilege does not pertain to you, then you are likely mistaken. White privilege, however, does not imply that white people cannot or will not experience challenges in life. It just means that any challenge a white person faces is not related to the color of their skin.
Do you need a ride back to the house, Miss Dove?
I can't figure out why Travis Waite is also fired up anxious to get me away from the groves. I just want to walk around a little while.
No thanks, I tell him. I don't mean no disrespect, Miss Dove, but I think it'd be best if you'd gone on home.
It's like he's willing me to understand something that he's too embarrassed to say out loud. But I'm gonna make him. Your daddy won't like you being out here by yourself. You're just asking for... He points at Gator. I just don't want you getting yourself in any dangerous situations is all.
F is for Felix, who won't do no work. He's lazy and shiftless and ready to shirk.
When you see hundreds of these caricatures, they start to have meaning. And they obviously appeal to people, but they especially appeal to those who watch the cartoons and read the novels. They start to have a great impact on our society.
When I step out of the theater, I was with my friend Ryan, and I saw Rosemary What's-Her-Face from across the street, and walking next to her, like it was the most natural thing in the world, was Gator. And Ryan looked at me and she said, "Oh, Dove, he is just asking for trouble." He's not asking for it, I wanted to say, but I didn't. Because I know she's right. And then Willie Pod and Earl Hubbs, these two creeps from the year behind me, they come strolling around the corner. And I thought that they were just going to say a few nasty words to Gator, but then he stuck out his foot and Gator went tumbling forward and he knocked his head against the brick wall and it started to bleed, so I rushed for him and Ryan held me back.
And she said, "For heaven's sake, Stub, what are you doing?" "I don't know." Part of me was maybe a little grateful for her grip on me, though I don't much like admitting it. The truth is, I was scared what folks might think. Me standing up for a colored boy. June 28th, 2020. I'm an Imperial Wizard. That's the highest rank as far as the Ku Klux Klan. The goal of the KKK is for the advancement of the white race. I'm not a bigot. I'm a white separatist. I always looked up to the Ku Klux Klan, and I always knew this would be my calling. Rosemary, Ryan, and I went to lunch, and Ryan said to me about Rosemary, "You shouldn't have asked her to sit with us." "Why not?" "For heaven's sakes, Dove, you know why." I do know why, but I'm still gonna make her say it. She is a migrant worker, and she was seen talking to that colored boy. That boy has a name. We can't have trash sitting at our table, Dove. It makes us look bad. The truth is, I can't pretend that those same thoughts hadn't crossed my mind earlier that day, because they had, more than once. Imagine that you are white. You're looking in the cosmetics section for a brand of foundation that'll match your skin. Are you fearful that your shade does not exist? Most likely not. This is an example of white privilege.
But all of us today would be in a much worse position if slavery never existed. Because a change that significant would likely change the course of events to mean that none of us would even exist.
O is for Olive, who look like she's white. She brushes to Mrs. Hare morning and night.
We already tried to pay for our original sin of slavery. We fought a civil war. We passed civil rights landmark legislation. Hell, we even elected an African-American president.
Rosemary wanted to talk to me about something that was happening with our pickers. She said that some men had set fire to a clothesline. I remember this photograph that Billy Tyler loved to pass around to class anytime he got. He said he got it while he was visiting his cousin in Alabama for the summer. In the photograph, you can see a black man hung from a tree limb. And in the back, 4 white hoods and robes. Billy was real proud of that picture. When I asked my dad about it, he said that the Klan had disbanded after World War II and they weren't really around anymore.
June 28th, 2020. When I was younger, there wasn't much Klan around. But now that Donald Trump's got elected, there are so many underground Klansmen. Imagine that you are white. You're reading a magazine or watching a TV show and you find yourself wondering why none of the characters look like you. No. This is an example of white privilege. I had a tiny suspicion, and so it filled into a question, and while my dad was out for the evening, I started to go through his office. I don't really know what it is that I'm looking for, but I found a file. Everything looked pretty normal, till I got to the back, and I found a stack of cards. I started shuffling through them, not paying much mind, until one cut my breath right off. I'm holding a blue card with the letters KKK at the top, and there at the bottom is my dad's signature. I stopped asking my dad questions about the Klan, because the truth is I was afraid to know the answer, because I just couldn't accept the way that things are, because I just couldn't let things be. The thing about white privilege is that the phrase isn't about blaming white people for the advantages that they have. How can you be blamed for something you've never even had to consider? The phrase is about helping white people realize that they do have advantages over non-white people, and that there are steps to take to ensure equality. Do, 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 do.
Z is for Zonia, chunky and small.
But ere come to